Welcome everyone to the 2023 Alwin Radical Cup Round 3, coming to you live from Kyalami in Midrand. Tonight by Julian Brains.
Good evening, everybody.
BMW Cup, but looking at our schedule for the championship, this is round 3 from Kyalami, round 4 will be Road America, round 5 will be Imola, round 6 Barcelona, the GP circuit, which means the final corner is not the chicane, but it's the fast flying corner, Mugello, and then the final round will be back to Zwartkops.
Sounds good, sounds like an exciting lineup. All fun tracks for this kind of car. The Radical, it was a fun car to drive. Quite an intense car to drive. Usually. Okay. So we're coming to you from Assetto Corsa tonight, and hopefully, if all goes according to plan, we will have a dual view to see some two cameras on track at the same time, which is...
Dual view feeding has been working, but for some reason at the moment I can't jump to the second screen
Okay.
Jason joining us. Something a bit different.
Yeah, Jason.
Jason's
Mm-hmm.
here with
I'll keep the commentary going, Jason. It's obviously very experienced in R-Factor 2 and AMS2, and it'll be interesting to see how he fares here tonight against the field in Assetto Corsa, with all of the sims being so slightly different. So tonight should be some good racing out at Kyalami, as Jason, and I'm not sure who's in front of him actually. I don't have any. I just need to get my live timings up as well while I'm busy pulling that up.
It's an orange car, which is the World-Mech colors.
As they come through the crocodiles, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's the corner, and then turn 15 is the cheetah as Jason goes through the cheetah, and Ingwe is turn 16. Ingwe. And then they revert to turn, like, it's not really a turn, it's only straight, turn 1 the kink, down into Crowthorne. 3 doesn't actually have a name, and that's more of a corner than the kink, I would imagine. it's a very different sim, but don't take it away from Assetto Corsa. It's a very good simulator as well. The biggest difference I find is just the tires. It's the tire modeling and the way that you can feel what the car's doing beneath you. But I'm not sure that Jason relies on that as heavily as some of us. He's got quite a methodical approach, and he seems to figure out quite fast how to be fast, in various different platforms, which is not the case for a lot of us. A lot of us want to drive the cars, and we like the sim that works for us because we can feel what the car is doing. And some guys are just able to do that kind of thing. Yeah, Jason's giving me 1 or 2 tips over a period of years with him. About different sims and their different characteristics, and they're pretty much spot on the money.
We have
Okay. Hi, Yandre Dipno. Lovely to have you in the commentary there. As we can see, Richard Saliers, his teammate in another series, coming through the course. And where exactly is Richard right now? Coming through Leeuwkop, if I'm not mistaken. Turn 10. And now the mine shaft. And then down into 13 crocodiles once again. Very tricky corner if you don't know what you're doing here. To slow the car down and get on the throttle early. It's quite easy to spin out there.
Perhaps
And then
Yandre could just butt in. Hopefully Yandre could just give us a heads up on how the audio is sounding now.
Yeah.
Twisted there. Perhaps I need
I'll
my
monitor the chat as well, but feel free to butt in at any time, Dennis.
This track as well, for the guys that don't know, I mentioned we're going to be driving Kyalami next round in the BMW Cup, but that's in R Factor 2. The track was created by Dale Best, aka Prototype. He's a fantastic track creator. The track was then converted to R Factor, so it's the exact same track, just converted to R Factor. So it might look slightly different, but everything else is the same. It's all the same buildings and everything exactly the same. We might have slightly different camera angles, the lighting might look different, but it's actually identical track build.
Okay, so I've got my live timings up, and we can see here the current P1 is Shaun Clarke on 143. Well, I suppose it's all populating at the same time now because guys are starting to put in some times.
Well, Shaun Clarke has been very dominant in this championship so far. He's definitely got the pace. When Adrian now jumped in and looked like Adrian's going to give him a run for his money. Not sure where Adrian is tonight. Hopefully Adrian's going to join. Maybe he'll be a late joiner and he can give Shaun a run for his money. Peter Colwin has also been on the pace in all our test sessions, so I think keep an eye out for Peter as well. He's been pretty good. Hopefully he can give Shaun a run for his money. Some of the other drivers that have been giving Shaun a run for his money just aren't here tonight. I guess that's also load shedding kicking in, doing its thing. So I know Sean Johnson is one of the guys that's been competitive with some of the rounds, and he definitely has load shedding tonight, unfortunately. So
yeah, load shedding obviously affecting everything, as it does.
So quite a spread in lap time at the moment. The 5 times that are on the board, we have Shaun Clarke on a 1:43.1 and Donnie 3.3 seconds off currently. Waiting to see as the times will drop. I know Donnie has been faster than that according to the server, if I remember correctly.
So there's 11 minutes left in qualifying, and I'm just wondering if a lot of guys would maybe their powers coming on at 8, if some guys might still be able to make it,
Yeah, with the Assetto Corsa you can join mid-race, unlike R-Factor, where R-Factor, once the race starts, you're pitted. So maybe they'll join. They'll obviously be behind there, but they will at least be there for race 2 if that's the case. And if they finish the race and
score some points,
they could actually be at the front for race 2.
100%, because it's a reverse geared 10 spots.
And of course, something I think we haven't brought up is that this championship is sponsored by Alwin. So if you have any automotive glass requirements, you can head over to www.alwin.co.za and give Hilke a call. He'll be able to help you out with whatever your glass requirements are, whether it's for a trailer or for a bakkie or whatever vehicle you need it for.
Okay. Where about is Alwin?
I believe they are countrywide, but through other branches, not necessarily owned, but through, for example, Canopy King. I know they provide Canopy King with glass.
Okay, you don't have to worry that you don't see some Alwin branding nearby you. You can actually contact Alwin and they'll put you in touch with somebody.
Whoever distributor is of their glass, if they don't
Okay,
have a branch locally, yes.
that's very good to know. That's very good to know. Okay.
So currently 8 times on the board. Peter Murray now in 8th place. Peter also hasn't had much time to practice, so I'm pretty sure he will just get faster and faster as the round progresses. The guys are fairly familiar with the track. I know the previous round they weren't very familiar with the track, so some of the guys were struggling. But this track we know very well, being a local track, and we have raced the living daylights out of it. So it should be one of the guys can just jump in and just get familiar with grip levels and things. So should be fun.
Should make for some exciting racing. I'm quite excited to see what these 10 guys get up to on this course here tonight.
Fourth, 3 seconds off the pace, so there's a bit of a gap between third and fourth. Richard Cillier in third place is quite close to Peter Feldenay, so they should have quite a nice battle throughout the race. Then of course 5th and 6th is very close with Dani Stander and Rian van der Westhuizen. They are extremely close, 3.321 off and 3.384 off.
As we drive on board with Peter Geldenhuys coming down through, I must learn these corner names now. I should know them off the top of out of my head. Leeuwkop, this is no. That's a lie, because now we're watching Jason. We're watching Peter. We're watching Peter down there. Sunset's turn 6 as you come down out of the barbecue bend. I think, yeah. I'm saying the barbecue bend. I'm already giving the things nicknames. I've got a bad habit of doing stuff like that. Anyway. And Jason Underwood, yeah. We've had Andre and Hildebrand also join the session, so some more blood in the water. As he comes through the S's on his way up to Leeuwkop, should be braking hard just around about the 50-meter mark. There we go. Tail braking through, correcting the car and accelerating, giving it gas on his way down to the crocodiles, through the mine shaft and into the crocodiles. I've got the no, at least he's in the pit already. And people are coming through. He put in. He did have a green sector 1.
Broadcast. So currently watching Rian van der Westhuizen using 6th place, 3.3 seconds off the pace.
In that Jack Daniels car there.
The car that people are dreading. Little private joke between all the stewards and the Jack Daniels car.
But Gian definitely has got a lot of pace in these radicals. He knows his stuff out there.
I'm surprised that he's so far off the pace here, because at the other rounds he's been much closer to the front. And
yeah, you know, the thing about sim racing is that everybody's doing their own thing, and Shaun Clarke has just put in the purple first sector. Right, but everybody's doing their own thing, and you know, you never know what distractions people may have behind the scenes. which is something we need to take into consideration. As much as we know when the races are, each week is different, and you might not get that prep time that you think you have or think you need.
Jumped up into 4th place.
Lovely. And Shaun Olivier put in a orange middle sector.
He ran very wide out of the final sector. Let's go.
It'd be amazing as if we could see their pedal inputs, because I've got a feeling Shaun's got his tail braking on point here, as you see, as he corrects the car to come out the corner quite early. Peter Caldona is now put in a purple 3rd sector. Found his flow through the 3rd sector there. Maybe find him a 10th or 2. Shaun, he's got an orange 1st sector, so he's down a little bit. 32.9 to the 1st sector, and his best 1st sector. Let's see what that is. Final turn being Ingwe. He's just been through the cheetah, comes through Ingwe, cuts the track really wide, which I've noticed is a bit of a tactic on this course, even in R Factor 2. Okay. That middle sector, he seems to have figured out he had a purple middle sector, so that it's looking good for him. Let's see what he does.
Holdenace improves as well. It's the 43s and only, what's that, 2/10 off.
2/10 off, yes.
Quarter of a second off. Oh, that's much better from Peter. With just under 3 minutes left to go, if Peter can do another good time, he might actually be able to steal pole position. And Shaun is currently in the pits, so if Shaun is not going to get out soon enough, we might have someone challenging.
Peter with 2 green sectors and a purple 3rd sector. 2 green, the first 2 sectors were.
As we see Jason Underwood heading out. Jason, of course, is driving, I believe that's Brandon Roberts' skin tonight.
Okay, Team ECG. And I'm sure guys are fiddling a little bit with their setups, just fine-tuning the car for the track a little bit. The setups are open, if I'm not mistaken, Dennis.
They are, that's correct, yes. As we now see Andre Hildebrandt, haven't seen him, he was a late joiner, good to see him on with those fantastic martini colors, number 72.
There is in fact a new Radical that's been released, Dennis.
That's right, it's actually a factory released mod, which is quite fantastic. There's very few factories that get involved in sim racing at that level, and it's free. It's the slightly newer Radical. This is the SR3, that is the SR3 XXR. It's the 2023 version that's been released in conjunction with United Racing Design. Radical approached them to release it, and they have released it, so we are trialing it at the moment. It might replace this car mid-season if everyone would like it to, so it is a possibility. It certainly looks good and sounds good.
Okay, so that's qualifying.
So Shaun Olivier won't be improving because he's in the pits. He's not going to have time to get around and get a lap in. Peter Holdenace is still on track with a minute left to go.
He's just started a new lap. He'll get the benefit. He might be able to put a lap in. Let's just monitor his sectors as he comes through.
I'll see if I can transition to him. Maybe we can watch his lap, see how it unfolds. Let's see, we're with Richard Cilliers at the moment.
He's currently running 144.8 is his best.
So as Richard
his
crosses
last
the line,
lap.
I will change to Peter. Okay, camera's automatically changed so as it's catching Jason running wide. Let's jump.
Okay, Shaun Clarke again, purple middle sector. Peter, Jean first sector. That means he's running good. He's happy with it so far. The multi-view is obviously sponsored by Team Hardgrade Racing and PZN Panel Beaters. And also Alwin. Unfortunate. Yeah, and that will be the end of qualifying. As nobody else is on track except for Peter Marais seems to have gone out again. Seeing if he can in 29 seconds.
I'm not sure if this is I think it's an in-lap. So I'm going to jump to an ad break and we'll be back with you shortly for race 1. Right, welcome back everybody. I'm just going to adjust my sound down, the PC sound down a bit. I'm going to put Julian down a bit.
And now tell me that I sound good, guys.
Hopefully
We're gonna
Julian
fix the
sounds good.
stream.
And just to
We're
let
gonna
everyone
get
know,
this.
this is the 2023 Alwin Radical Cup, round 3 from Kyalami, race 1. This is a 20-minute race. Guys have 10 seconds to get ready. We're heading out on track any moment now. Of course, that is our season schedule, round 3 of round 8. We will come back to that shortly as we head off.
Well, those are the lights.
That was the lights, and away they go.
Okay, so we didn't even go through the lineup. We got Shaun Clarke in P1, but it doesn't look like that order to me.
Right, let's have a look. Oh, there's a bit of contact at the back with, I believe it's father and son duo Garviko's Dani Stander. And it looks like Peter Murray may be involved as well.
We've got no overlays on our output here, Dennis.
Yes, I'm going to jump to that in a moment. I will just jump to a different screen as we...
Technical in this business, bringing you guys a stream, which Dennis graciously does for us. I've got some experience, a lot goes into it, and we actually stream weekly, so that increases the load. But there we come. We see Jason Underwood coming through, applying a bit of pressure on who is that ahead of him? Peter Gelderhuis.
I believe that's Peter Gelderhuis. I'm not sure why Peter
Gelderhuis
so
is
he
a
lost second to Richard.
Yeah. Then Shaun Clarke is out front.
Perhaps we can keep
There we
an
go.
eye on
There
Peter
it's
as well.
updated. Shaun Clarke is up front. Richard Cilliers is running in P2. Both putting in purple sectors all over the show. Well, I suppose it's because this is new lap time, so new purple sectors, because the best lap time currently is 1:51, which is a ways off.
Just checking
obviously
to see.
with a standing start.
We might have Shaun joined, just checking to see if he was around, but he's not there yet.
No problem.
Could have missed him.
There we have Dani Stander. To Richard Cilliers.
The question is, will he be able to get past Richard and challenge Shaun? Because Shaun's starting to pull away. He's already 1.5. It's almost 1.6 from Richard. So Shaun's got the pace over Richard. And certainly in qualifying, Peter had the pace to possibly keep up with Shaun. But he needs to be up there. He needs to get ahead. Hopefully the frustration doesn't kick in and he makes a stupid mistake as a result. Let's see. He's certainly close enough. As we see some other incidents further down, and the guy's getting close because of it. So, incident with Dani, Harvey, and Peter. At least Dani and Peter are nice and close together at the moment. Hopefully they recover and have a good race. And unfortunately, we see we have a DNF for Andre Hildebrand. So I'm not too sure what happened there. I missed that. But hopefully he's still around and can stick around for race 2, because then at least he'll be at the front. As the times are coming in, a 44.5 for Shaun Clarke, a 44.7 for Richard Cilliers, and a 46.3 for Jason Underwood. We have a change of position for second place. Peter Gelderhuis has now got past.
Richard Cilliers, okay.
So perhaps we can get an idea of just how close it is as we're currently watching Richard. Perhaps we can do
on board with Peter Gelderhuis, watching a new view, track side. Nice little battle here with these guys. Unfortunate for them that they're slowing each other down now, and Shaun Clarke is able to get away with a nice bit of comfortable space in between them. So at some point, I would strategy maybe slack off a little bit and hopefully catch up with P1.
Richard has got into the slipstream of Peter. We'll see if he comes back at him shortly.
And
Keep
now
an eye on
we're
that.
with Danny Standard, who is chasing Peter Mugello, who's just got past him actually. Peter was behind him just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
And
Right,
hopefully he can pull Danny along with him to catch up with the rest of the pack. And as Richard, you see Richard taking Peter Gelderman some lovely racing out here in that Radical and Kyalami. These guys must be having a blast. I'm sure they're not too concerned with P1 out there. They're just enjoying racing each other. Yeah, but they seem to be enjoying it because nobody's relenting. Here we go again. Turn for turn. So Underwood is actually quite a ways behind them. He's got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, he's actually not doing too bad considering he's just jumped in and decided to drive. He hasn't driven this before. He literally jumped in with about half an hour before the qualifying started.
Yeah.
He was in and out of the service several times, obviously trying to get his wheel to work properly by the sounds of it. But he's in and he's racing, so yeah, good to have him here. Numbers are quite low with the load shedding doing its thing, so good to have an extra number.
Jason's not getting load shedding yet because he lives in the UK.
Yeah, yet being the optimal word, because it looks like they might be getting it sometime in the future. We're rubbing off on other countries.
Yeah. Trendsetters we are. As Shaun Clarke puts in a purple middle sector, he seems to be quite comfortable out there in front on his own, not seeming to feel threatened from the guys behind him who are still fighting each other relentlessly.
Alright, so the dual view is very loud. I'm going to go to dual view and let's see if I can adjust the audio on the fly. Hopefully we get
and maybe better. I'll give you a level there so you can see what it's doing. But we're gonna up the quality of the stream, guys. We just need to find the time to do it, to sit with it and get it all done. As we said, that this is all graciously done in our spare time. Well, not so much graciously from my side, but from Dennis's side.
Yeah, hopefully the sound is a bit better now. I've dropped the sound quite a lot.
Did Zian van der Westhuizen get knocked out of this race? That's unfortunate. I didn't even see that happen as well. He's also...
Yes, I didn't even realize that he's not in the race, so I'm not sure what happened there.
As we see Richard Zeliers who's come off.
Yeah, that's a bit of a unfortunate incident there.
And now Peter's on his own, and he's got 12 minutes to try and catch up with Shaun Clarke. Based on the lap times, it's doable. At the moment, Shaun's best lap time is a 44.2, and Peter is 44.23. So they're right in there with each other. Richard is riding a 44.7, and Jason Underwood coming in next best at a 46.3. Followed by Peter Mugello, 46.9. And Danny and Javi are both in the 47s.
I'd be very curious to hear how Jason is faring with the sim, because it's a very different sim, and certainly from my point of view, jumping from sim to sim, just jumping in here, my favorite is R Factor, and jumping into this just to do a little bit of laps to get familiar so that I understand the tracks and the cars, I actually struggled quite a lot with this combo. I found the car just didn't suit my driving anymore. I think I'm just more familiar with R Factor, and I think Jason is as well. He's very familiar with R Factor, so would be interesting to hear his point of view and what he thinks of it, and any struggles he had, what they were.
Yeah, I find the increase in force feedback is a good thing because it's surprisingly clear in Assetto Corsa, like the feedback that you are getting. It's just the tires, but there's a lot more of it. And what I find with oil factor, it tends to be a lot softer, a lot more nuanced, and it's like it's more round in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jason's perspective, and something about AMS2 is quite similar, and those are Jason's two favorite sims, as far as I know. You know, I speak under correction, but the field seems to be settling down a little bit. Jason seems to be catching up now to Richard, and there might be a little bit of a battle ensuing there shortly. Peter
So
doesn't seem to be making much headway against Shaun Clarke.
just showing in the dual view, Shaun Clarke is all on his own at the moment, just so we do know he is in the race. He is driving. He's just
He's
out with such a big lead at the moment.
But Peter has now just put in a purple first sector, so that might just give him some Vuma that he needs.
All right, just under 10 minutes to go. We'll monitor that gap. It's just under 5.5 seconds at the moment. Also keep an eye on Peter Murray. Let's see if he's going. He looks like he's pulled away from Darnie Stunder, as we're watching Darnie Stunder now as well. But Peter Murray seems to have pulled away from Darnie Stunder, so we'll see. He seems to be catching Jason Underwood. That gap was 5 seconds. It's now about 4 seconds, roughly. So we'll see if that is fluctuating. Maybe he's catching. Keep an eye on the times, perhaps.
Shaun Clarke just put in a 44 flat.
Perhaps we can just watch Shaun for a couple of corners to see how he seems to be much smoother than the other guys. Gets on the throttle a little bit better. It seems to make all the difference in these cars. These cars they're very grippy, but when you go beyond their grip levels, then they can snap quite a lot into a slide, and you lose a lot of time. So he seems to be getting it nice and smooth without any slides. We've seen some of the other guys get some slides on and they lose a lot of time. We saw Jason get a nice big slide. We saw Darnie get a slide. I think Peter Murray as well as of course Richard having half a spin. So Shaun definitely looking comfortable in the car at the moment.
Comfortable and composed, all alone out in front. And I've just hit load shedding.
Alright, so if you suddenly disappear, then we know why.
I shouldn't disappear. All should stay intact. Let's see if anybody else.
I wonder if anyone in the comments could let us know how the sound is sounding at the moment. Of course, we have Chris Collison in the comments as well as Yandre Dippenaar, so good to have you guys there. Guys that drive with us in other series. Of course, Chris here to support Jason, I'm sure. Chris is welcome to come join us if you would like to jump in and have a bit of fun at some point if he owns Assetto Corsa. Not too sure where all the other guys were. I was under the impression a few of the other guys might have been joining, but they didn't, so perhaps they were caught off guard by load shedding that they didn't realize they were going to get tonight. Perhaps I can jump back to my other view. Sorry, I'm watching too many other things in the background here. So not sure what's happened to Rian. Perhaps Rian was hit by load shedding. I'm not sure if that was a thing. I think he left before the load shedding would have been on, but I'm not too sure.
Who's this now?
Rian van der Westhuizen.
Yes, now Jan had something must have happened to him because he shut off a little bit before on the hour, so and maybe some sort of contact.
Or maybe a technical issue. I know certainly his pace wasn't his usual pace, so maybe he had some issue. That's why he had to jump off to go and perhaps fix it. Maybe he drives in VR, so maybe a problem with his headset or a wheel problem or anything. It's very difficult when you drive in VR to troubleshoot.
Yeah, once you're in, you're in.
Hi, Dennis. Hi, Julian.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Shaun.
Said hi, guys. Hi, Shaun.
How's it going?
Great.
Going good, thanks, man. Nice to have you here. Real commentator.
Just a very quiet track at the moment.
Yes.
The view. I don't know the view that you're seeing, Dennis, but I see two screens, but the same output on both of them.
Okay, so at the moment you're watching my broadcast screen, so for the viewers that are knowing, I'm actually sharing my view with both Julian and Shaun at the moment. So basically they can see when I'm clicking on other screens at the moment. But they should also be able to see my
Output, which is the
output as
video
well.
output. Yeah.
Yes.
But you can, for Sean's benefit, we can kill the screen share because I think it'll be easier for him to then see the video output, which is the
Alright.
main output. As we watch Danny come over the line.
Okay, how do I turn this off? Like that.
There we go.
Alright. Okay, Sean, you should now just be seeing my output.
Yes, and it's car number 243, and it's me getting used to a new display to find where they hide the car number.
The
Which,
drivers do tend to keep the same numbers across the various sims, so that 243 is 243 in R factor as well, which is Donnie standard.
okay, so yeah, they've got them in position again, and it's, if I remember correctly, Sean Olivier wasn't doing that well, or wasn't taking part in that many races in the BMW M2 Cup.
Yes, he's
That's
been
it.
struggling a lot in that, which is quite strange because
Yes.
in season 1 he was actually very competitive. He had a lot of bad luck, but he had pace. In season
Yeah.
2 he seems to have no pace and he seems to be really struggling with the car. Yet he's dominating in this series, in this sim.
It's just horses for courses, I suppose.
Yes.
As I go in the portion of the they've made an S out of the mine shaft, which is slightly different to the old layout. So I think it's just to slow the cars down quite a bit. This is actually, I think, Harvey, if he's keeping the same color scheme,
It is.
That's
and the
Yes,
funny.
Sassel colours,
yes.
going through the S's themselves. So you can't miss those or that layout of the track. And up the hill, which is actually, if you race, and I've actually had the privilege of going around Kyalami proper, it used to be West Bank Corner, and it now
It's
has
all called Leeuwkop.
Leeuwkop, which is back to the old circuit, except that Leeuwkop used to turn right, and now with the circuit, as it has been for many years, turns left. And what I was saying is that you can't actually see the corner. You must trust on your brake markers and hit
Yeah.
the brakes and then turn. And just as you start turning, then the crest shows you the rest of the corner.
But you need to start accelerating before that point.
Yes, because it actually takes a double apex, as it were, if I remember correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's a tricky corner to get through and get through it quickly because it's downhill out as well. If you slow out of the corner, you're going to be slow into the downhill and then slow
There's
into
there's a lot of speed to be had there if you can do it well, if you can come out of there well and use the entire road because there's a small bit of runoff on the end there where they let you get to the corner on the right when you're busy pushing out, depending on what you're driving. I know guys in the GT3s kiss that corner constantly.
Yeah. So it's a difficult corner. Well, for me, not being a motor car racer, I'm the clown that gets paid to leave in the old days at Kyalami. Of course, here, what you see there behind you, the go-kart circuit or the kart circuit, that used to have the total Boma on it on a big hill, where this car's heading to now, which is turn 1. And basically, one thinks the mine shaft was the fastest point, but this is in fact the fastest point at Kyalami. And Carl Fogarty came to the guys and said, guys, we've got a little bit of tar, and then there's a cement wall at the fastest point in the circuit. And I think they promptly removed the hill, removed the Boma, and they moved the wall back to put a little bit of a gravel bed, or I'm not sure what arresting device they did put in there to actually make it safer.
Luckily, in sim racing, we don't have too many of those concerns.
Yeah. And that mistake there, it's I think it was out through the S's. If you this is, if I think correctly, let me just wait. Yes,
This was Peter
Sunset
Feldenhuis
Clubhouse.
coming through the S's up toward Leeuwkop, and he's coming through the mine shaft now. Yes.
Yeah, there's the S's. Such a classic. Even in the old days, it was seen as a classic piece of motorsport worldwide.
Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of you know, a lot of their own memories of a track like Kyalami, and it's got such a lot of history and such it resonates with so many people. I know a lot of the guys in this sim experience sim racing club. They were quite fond of Kyalami. That's actually how I met some of the guys.
Sorry
in
to
the
butt in. We have Andre
Yeah.
Hildebrandt rejoining, coming out of the pits, so that's brilliant. It means he will be there for race 2, and he'll be starting near the front of race 2, possibly on pole position.
You must just not let Manfredo Rossi de Montalera see that car, because then he'll buy it. Because it's in the Martini colors.
Is he a Martini fan?
I remember I told you the story at Zandvoort.
Yes, that's right.
He's surnamed Rossi. If you look at a bottle of Martini, it's actually Martini and Rossi. And he's the continuance of the family Rossi. So he has enough money that he buys up racing, actually classics. And this would be an unusual car to him. So just for fun, he'd probably want to buy it. Somebody that's getting it totally
Jason
wrong.
Underwood getting it all wrong there.
Yeah. And of course, these radicals are, compared to, say, a BMW M2, are extremely, extremely light with a lot of power for the weight. So a very different drive compared to, there's the classic Boma that was, my commentary tower was just behind that in the good old days. So that Sunset Corner, recognize it a mile away. On the way to Clubhouse now, also good memories of this circuit. Just there's no people. But those banks in the days used to be packed. And nowadays we have drones as well, which adds to the image as they go through the S's and up the hill again to Leeuwkop.
All right, I'm going to just transition to, we have basically the leader just going on to the final lap now. So Shaun Clarke now on his final lap with a huge margin of, I think it's, I'm waiting for the timing to show, but I think it was about 8 seconds, 8.1 seconds. Ooh, Shaun spinning.
Shaun spun in the S's.
Now that 8 seconds is not very big. If you can get
and
it.
Peter Felden is actually going to pass him.
We haven't
Yep.
For
changed.
P1.
And
Right on the last lap.
now he's going to race his butt off to try and catch him.
That, I'm sure, is something that was not expected.
Yeah, there's that old saying, you've got to first finish to finish first.
Exactly.
I'm just using this to get used to the track. I think I'm pretty used to the layout of the track for Sunday night. So it's going to be fun.
I'm actually just trying to practice my commentary to try and be as good as you, Shaun. But yeah, you really got it down, eh? You really are good at this.
Well, I used to do it real time, but looking out of a window and watching real cars go by, or watching a PC monitor, watching sim cars go by. I've got a lap scoring monitor on my other screen, which gives me a lot of information.
It is, yeah.
Knowing the circuit helps a lot as well. So
100%.
And Sunday, of course, I'll have my cheat sheet prepped. So I'll have the colors of the cars and who's racing what and the numbers, which, as I said to Dennis, I don't have tonight, but I'm joining just to see what the track looks out, and looks splendid.
And we see that coming on the final turn, which is, what was it, a Zulu name that I can never remember?
Ingwe.
Ingwe means leopard.
And Peter Geldenes takes the victory from Shaun Clarke. Unfortunately, Shaun, having made a mistake, he loses out.
And it's not as if he stole it. He was in the right place at the right time. And Shaun is going to be livid.
And Rian van der Westhuizen has just rejoined as well, as we have Richard Cillier coming across the line for 3rd place. So a nice solid podium there. So PZN panel beaters getting a 3rd place in the end.
Good drive there from Richard.
Great drive, yeah. Having had a half spin earlier, it was a good recovery. And Jason coming across the line, a distant 4th place, but not a bad outing considering he just jumped in and drove. We have some of the guys up ahead doing their donuts. Now I have
one car stopped just after getting, what shall I call it, the pit exit. I see they've done away with that silly chicane going into the last corner.
Yes, thankfully.
I was right down. I was actually commentating that day, and I'm trying to think, it was Don Brains got hit by Ben Morganrud before they put, and that was the reason they actually put in the chicane. Don Brains, if I remember correctly, was running something like the size of a Mazda 323, and Ben Morganrud arriving in the big rotary-powered Mazda Class A in the Westbank V8s, modifieds in those days. And I think the
Sorry to butt in, Sean. It
it's
looks
fun.
like Harvey's idling across the line. I think he just ran out of fuel. But he
Well, you
makes
gotta
it.
get it. Yes, and luckily in this class you don't have a fuel sample to hand in.
No.
Um,
All right, that's the end of it. We're going to just jump to an ad break before we come back for race 2. We'll be back with you shortly. Right, welcome back everyone. We are now back for race 2. Perhaps I can get rid of the overlay, the correct overlay on the screen. We're back for race 2 of the 2023 Alwin Radical Cup round 3 from Kyalami, Midway in Gauteng, South Africa. So 20-minute race 2 about to start. The drives are probably about 5 seconds or 6 seconds before the lights go out. They are starting to go out. I'm going to get rid of this. Camera should change by itself to all its things there. Alright, I am going to jump to our other camera while I can hopefully sort out the main camera. I need to jump away from it to be able to do that. So Sean has said goodnight, so he's off. He'll join us again on, we said lots of action there. Sean will join us again on Sunday for the BMWs. So all action at the moment, lots of things happening. We have Ren van der Westhuizen back in the race. Good to see he's rejoined. Hopefully he has a good race, no issues with hardware or whatever else would have caused the issue. Of course we have Andre Hildebrand in the fight, we have Harvey Koos still in the fight. Dani Stander up there at the moment, looks like Peter Geldenes around the outside of Dani. And Sean Ulefer right in front of Peter Geldenes. So the two main contenders from race 1 are at it at the moment as well, and Shaun Clarke is ahead of Peter Geldenhuys due to a reverse grid. We have Richard Cillier for PZN panel beaters in first place at the moment, with Jason Underwood in second place. Jason Underwood currently driving the ECGT. Ooh, we see Rian van der Westhuizen running off there, coming back on track. Very close there with Harvey Coast, giving just enough space. So yeah, Jason Underwood driving the ECGT car at the moment of Brandon Roberts. Team ECGT of this from this series onwards changed their name to Top Tech IT. Unfortunately, Top Tech IT's frontman Hilton Nickerson wasn't able to join us tonight due to some computer issues. So hopefully he'll be alright for Sunday to come race again. But he would have otherwise joined us in the commentary booth tonight. So at the moment it's just myself. I'm just waiting for Julian to join us again.
I'm
Julian,
here.
you're back. Welcome back.
I'm back watching the action. So Richard Cillier's
we
out
have a
in
bit of an
front with a
issue
bit of
there.
space. Oh, and there's a bit of a contact there.
Yeah, Peter Geldenhuys getting spun around there. He's not going to be too happy about that, I'm sure. Dropping right down at the moment. He's in 7th place.
It's actually... Yeah, he's in 7th. Peter Majer's in 8th. He's still quite tight to the pack though, so he can still do some damage from there.
Yeah, he's lost about 6 seconds to Shaun Clarke at the moment, so I think Shaun did slow slightly there, thinking he might give him back, but then I guess he realized that he had spun. He would lose a lot of time to wait for him, so he's carried on. So currently Richard Cillier in first place from Shaun Clarke, Jason Underwood, Donnie Stander, Rian van der Westhuizen, Harvey Coast, Peter Geldenhuys and Peter Murray. So lots of action at the moment.
Nice field, nice layout. Should make for quite an exciting race. Few guys that are gonna be catching some others here now, like Shaun Clarke, likely to catch up with Richard Cillier's in P1. And as the guys come through, that's not the S's. Where's that? That's
Peter Murray and Harvey Coast at the moment. Sorry, not Peter Murray, Peter Geldenhuys.
Clarke has also got a bit of space in front of him and space behind him now. There seems to be some sort of something happened because there's a big gap.
I think that is just the incident that's happened at the beginning. So Richard's got himself a bit of a lead at the moment. Peter Murray is now disconnected, unfortunately.
Unfortunate, yeah.
So
Must have had a collision and a bit of damage. Is irreversible.
As we see Peter Geldenhuys making a pass on Rian van der Westhuizen. Looks like Rian had a slight moment and ended up turning to the inside of the track. Peter swooping around the outside, but Rian's now glued right behind him.
Rian ran a little wide there, cost himself a bit of time.
Rian has been pretty quick in these cars on some of the tracks. I know with Road Atlantic was pretty quick. With a lot of practice.
Getting a lot of spin on that car there.
Yeah, car rotating a lot from left to right.
Yeah.
So let's see how quick Peter is closing in on Donnie. They're extremely quick. I think he got caught out a little bit there.
Yeah, but already people pulling a bit of space between him and Rian. And he's only a second a lap faster. Because Rian's running 145s quite comfortably.
I'm curious to see when Peter, I think he's going to get past Donnie fairly soon. Just judging by the pace difference here. If he'll be able to catch up to Shaun Clarke. Shaun, I think, at the moment he's slower than Richard. So Richard's actually pulling away from Shaun, which is also a bit of a surprise. So Shaun has not got the pace. I don't know if he has damage maybe.
Shaun biding his time because the last time out his tires gave up on him a little bit there toward the end. So he's probably looking not to do the same mistake twice and thinking the same thing might happen to Richard if he pushes too hard in the beginning.
We saw Rian van der Westhuizen having a bit of a spin there as he made contact with Peter Geldenhuys and came off second best.
Jason Underwood approaches behind.
But Jason went backwards pretty fast in this race, having been up in second place near the front. He's now currently in 7th place. As I say that, he's now side by side with Rian.
Danny and Peter Galdenes having a bit of a touchy touch. But nobody seems to be coming off, so that's good. Peter seems to be safely through.
Alright, so now we'll monitor the gap. Peter currently 13.5 seconds back from the lead. And Shaun is 4.7 back from the lead, so let's keep an eye on that gap. I'm sure that Shaun just made up a bit of time. The gap is fluctuating a bit, but I think it was 4.8 earlier, so it looks like he's made up a little bit of time.
He's already come down to 4.5. So he's catching.
But the pace seems to be fairly similar between them, so if Shaun can catch
He's
Richard...
put in 2 purple sectors at the moment.
Alright,
Yes,
there's
sector
4.4
1,
now, yeah.
sector 2. He's put in a fantastic lap at the moment, which is going to be quite intimidating for Richard to see coming through his rearview mirror, or even his crew chief just telling him that the gap is closing.
He's about to cross the line to set that fastest time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's going to run into the
Transition turn.
143s by the looks of it there.
Here he comes.
144 is easy. 143,
43.9.
there we go. 143.9.
What's that, about half a second faster than Richard that lap? I think Richard did
Yeah.
a 44 something there. 44.3 I think, or 44.4.
Peter's also in a bit of open air now.
Yeah,
And
he made a pass on that lap, but only managed a 45 odds for low 45.
Jason seems to be stuck behind Umgawi.
Yeah. Jason's times are
Quite
not looking
interesting.
very good in these cars. He's hanging in there, but
And I mean, I race on the same wheel as Jason, and I know for a fact that coming from all the other sims, it's quite an assault to race the Radical for 20 minutes, because it's just quite heavy. Everything about it is heavy. You have to fight this car through these corners. It looks easy and it's light, yes, and it moves, but the steering response is quite intense, unless you turn it down yourself, obviously, which maybe they do. But I
that's
would
another
imagine that
thing, jumping
fatigue.
sim to sim, that he might not have considered is, and this is something I didn't even consider until recently when I was looking for settings to try and make it feel better. You can actually change the force feedback in the game with shortcuts as well, and I always forget about that. So, you know,
Yeah.
maybe he knows that and he's maybe been tweaking it, but yeah, I also find the force feedback just didn't quite suit me, but then I haven't tweaked it enough.
As we see now, the gap is now 3.6, so Shaun making clear headway against Richard up front. And it's just a matter of time now. If we look at the race duration, there's 10 minutes to go, 11 minutes, which is, it looks just about right. He should catch him toward the end of the race. And
Yeah,
Jason has made his way past Umgawi, so he should also make headway now to possibly catch up with Dani.
it would have been nice if Shaun could have caught Richard earlier, let them have a bit of a battle, slow themselves up, and allow Peter Geldenes back into the fight.
That's the unfortunate bit with a track the size of Kyalami and, you know, such a small field. It would be a lot better racing, obviously, with a much more full field in the Radicals, but unfortunately it's not the case. And the track allows for quite a bit of space once everything settles. There is quite a bit of a difference between all our runners, even though 1 to 2 seconds is the real difference between lap times, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pity we don't have some of the other drivers like Adrian Nell here and Will Rodippenaar. Will Rodippenaar also excellent pace.
Yeah, and he expressed a bit of interest this morning, actually, but surprised I didn't see him.
Yeah, so there's
But,
two
yeah.
guys that we kind of assumed we were going to be at the front and fighting it out, and they just didn't rock up. So I'm not sure why they're not here, but it's a shame. We've lost out on a little bit of a battle, but we do have some nice battles here. We have a nice
Peter
battle
Geldenes is
brewing
now
at the
putting
moment.
in a purple first sector, finding his groove there out all on his own. So finally looking to put in the lap times he wants. You know, he still thinks he's in it. He's running P3 at the moment, but he knows once Shaun Olivier catches Richard, they might hold each other up a bit and he could get in there. There's still some time.
And Shaun is catching, but not nearly as fast as he needs to. I think he's a little bit...
I think he's weary of catching too fast so that Peter catches up to him if he fights Richard for too long. Because, you know, once he catches him, there might be a little bit of a battle.
And possibly what happened in race 1 is he had pushed too hard and worn his tires out, and that might have been what caught him
Exactly.
out.
And he doesn't want the same thing to happen again. So I think he's timing it just perfectly. He wants to catch Richard towards the end of the race. Richard doesn't hold him up too much, just slips right through.
So the gap coming down now almost to 3 seconds. He's taking about 3/10 out of him per lap by the looks of things. Peter Gelden is still sitting at 13.7, so the gap between Peter and first place seems to be static at the moment. It's been 13.7 for the last lap and a half to 2 laps. We have Harvey Ho still sitting right behind Jason as well, so Harvey's hanging in there. Jason's not clearing off. Harvey definitely seems more comfortable in this car than he does in the BMWs and R-Factor. So Donnie Stander currently in 4th place, Jason Underwood in 5th place, Harvey Goos in 6th place, Rian van der Westhuizen in 7th place. Unfortunately, Peter Murray in 8th place with a DNF. So a very quiet race, but a couple of battles possibly brewing towards the end. So we might have a battle for first, we might have a battle for 4th, 5th and 6th.
We almost guarantee a battle for first because Shaun is closing in.
Yeah, down to 2.5 seconds. As they go through the final turn, it went briefly up to 2.6, but back down to 2.5 odd. As he just puts in the fastest lap of the race of a 1:43.742.
Oh, really nice.
So
he's picking up his pace.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's cautious of not pushing too hard because of what happened to him with the tires. As we drive on board with Javi, who's managing to stick so nicely with Jason. It's good to watch, eh?
He's actually caught up slightly to Jason because the gap had been slightly bigger. So, yeah, his pace is not bad at the moment. Javi's actually doing very good. He did a 46.2 on the previous lap. Jason on a 47.1.
The slipstream can make quite a difference on this car as well if you're close enough.
But Javi there, 0.9 of a second faster than Jason at the moment. Go Javi.
Interesting. Yeah, let's see if he can maybe clinch that 5th place.
As I say that,
that'll
he
be
spins
really
off.
good for him. Unfortunate.
Commentator's curse. Sorry, Javi.
Uh,
But he was going great there, so good to see the pace is there. Just a little bit of bad luck, unfortunately, now. Maybe
Shaun,
over exuberant.
only 2.3 behind. Richard seems to be putting his foot down a little bit, keeping that gap, pushing hard to keep that gap there. Peter Gelden is falling behind. I think he feels it's over and done. He's probably just pacing himself as well.
Yeah.
To get through to the end. Nobody wants their tires slipping on them at the end. You know, you have to change your brake markers as your tires fall off. Start braking a little bit earlier.
As we
you
now
can
see
catch
Rian
yourself
van der
out.
Westhuizen, he's now catching up to Harvey because of Harvey's incident. So that's going to, I'm sure, fire him up a bit to go push to beat Harvey.
At least take 6th position. Peter Gelden is putting in a purple lap time, one of his best. So he's also finding his flow.
And another thing to consider is that with a smaller field like this, our points are structured for the top 10. So these guys are all in the points, which is nice for the guys that sometimes aren't in the points that are now in the points. So when the other guys start showing up, they've got some points to catch up.
Yeah, it's not as straightforward anymore. The track's actually 2 degrees cooler here than it was before. It was 37 degrees. I think at 35 degrees it feels a bit cooler. Probably not as grippy as it was before. So maybe guys are just being more cautious all around as well.
Could be, yes.
Shaun Olivier, because he's closing that gap. He's down to 1.5 now as they make their way up to Leo Kopp, him and Richard Seliers, who's hanging on to that first position for dear life. And I don't have the car numbers in front of me because then I can sound more like Shaun. I must really channel my Shaun and all my different commentary guys that I look up to.
Channel our inner Shaun.
Yeah,
As
car number 15.
Back currently
Richard
from
Seliers,
number 15,
the
Richard
PZN
Seliers.
panel beaters. The PZN panel beaters car. So if you're ever out in Namibia and you need some panel beating done, PZN. If you come a bit short in the dunes and you need to fix up your Land Rover, those are the guys to take it to.
Yeah, speaking of their Land Rovers, I know Yandre has some pretty bling bucky that he drives. I mean, it's amazing what they do with their vehicles. So yeah, pretty impressive.
If you know, if it was just closer and less warm in Namibia, I'd probably go in Cairo to do some work on my car. Cause yeah.
I actually know a friend that decided on a bike just to get on his bike one day and just ride up there. He fell off, I think, 4 or 5 times on the way with no support. Managed to get there eventually, had a time of his life, and came back a week later.
I've got family that live in Zwartkops and they drive the two girls and they drive up and down like it's nobody's business. They know the road like the back of their hand. Shaun Olivier now, but Richard's really putting foot down. He's put another 0.4 in it there. The gap was 1.5. He's taken it up to 1.9. It's come back down to 1.8. Shaun's really pushing. Richard's really pushing. I think that's one we should watch, Dennis.
Yes, I've got the camera ready, looking back from Richard's point of view, so we can see.
Gian is catching Mgavi as well.
Yes.
But it's the last 3 minutes of the race. That's going to be quite exciting battle to watch as the race nears an end. Jason also might catch Danny's Thunder if he's lucky.
A very close battle here with just under 3 minutes to go before the timer runs out. Then they finish the current lap and do one more lap. So I imagine they'll probably do 3 more laps. Possibly.
Shaun seems to be pacing himself. He's not pushing too hard. Peter's pushing the hardest out of all of them. And I suppose it's all the clean air he's got around him. All the free space.
And Rian is all over the back of Harvey at the moment, so I'm sure Rian is going to get this.
Harvey's actually finding some pace with having Rian on the back of him. He's having some of his best sectors as he goes through.
Oh,
And he's getting a bit wild and they make contact, unfortunately.
I think Harvey's going to really be unhappy with us because every time we say he's doing well, he spins. So.
Yeah, no, the commentators are really out to curse Mgavi tonight.
Sorry,
But yeah, what a
Harvey.
good showing he was putting in there. And Peter Geldenhuys again with a purple third sector. So he's flying along. Finally closing that gap up a little bit, back down to 13 seconds.
Yeah, it's a pity it's just come a little bit too late because, you know, he clearly has the pace. It's just
Well, he won race 1, so this puts him overall for the evening. It puts him right up there.
And
P2.
without us noticing, Shaun Olivier has taken the lead. I didn't even see that happen.
Oh my word, how did we miss that?
So apologies to everyone, but yes, Shaun Olivier has got past Richard.
That must have been an off track or something.
Yes, because
As
I had
the
the
pressure
camera
was
facing
mounting.
back and the gap didn't sort of, it was just suddenly it changed. So not
Okay,
too
but
sure
now
what's
Peter
happened.
Geldenhuys is within 12 seconds of Richard, but he doesn't have enough time. There's 1 minute to go. So, based on where, yeah, they're going to cross the line just about as they come through the Crocodiles, Shaun Olivier and Richard Cilliers, who's hanging on tight. They do the cheetah bend and down into Ingwe to cross the line. 45 seconds. So we might get another 2 laps out of this race. Richard Cilliers doing well to hang on there.
Yeah, so a nice close battle at the front. So the 2 more laps. So this lap and 1 more lap. Let's see, the gap was a second. It's just under a second. So now it's a second exactly. It's fluctuating. I think if either driver makes a mistake, I mean, it could still go either way. So it's not over yet for the win. And of course, Peter Geldenhuys had been catching, but he had a very slow lap on the previous lap.
He must have had a spin or track because he lost
1
about
minute 50.
9
Yeah, so that's
seconds.
yeah.
Almost 8 seconds.
Donnie Stunder 47 and 46 won by Jason Underwood the previous lap. So Jason is actually catching up to Donnie now. They
I
are
said
separated
that might
by,
happen.
yeah. So that I think is going to come down to the wire because previous lap
Donnie must
Jason
have
was
had an
about a
off
second.
track as well. That's why his lap was red.
Yeah. Jason was
Okay,
about a second a lap faster than him on that lap. Jason getting a bit twitchy there. Alright, so Jason is putting the hammer down, going for 4th place. See a couple of sparks coming off the car there, I think. Hopefully the audio levels are all alright at the moment. We haven't had any feedback, but I presume it's there for alright.
The last comment is go Richard. Well done, Richard and Peter. From the infamous Jean-André Dippenaar.
Are we missing Andre Dippenaar here with us tonight?
Yeah. So one more lap to go then for those two.
A 44.1 and a 44.5. So Shaun's about 4 tenths faster that lap, so now the gap 1.4 seconds. So it looks like
He's
he's in control.
pulling away. He's pretty much got this. Jason, though, is going to be chasing Dani.
Can we
And
go to
he's
dual view just to button? We top right we have the battle for the lead, and at the bottom we have the battle with Jason and Dani. Seems to be the two closest battles at the moment.
yeah, might as well watch those like that. It's a good plan.
Unfortunately now the auto cam has jumped to the Richard battle, so we're seeing it from Richard looking forward and from Shaun looking back. Now trackside on Richard. So we'll see the gap at the moment is still increasing, so I don't think that is going to change. I think that's going to stay pretty much as it is. So we will change our camera in a moment.
I really can't wait for the broadcast on Sunday to hear all the war stories that Shaun is going to be sharing with us about the TAC, because he's got a lot of experience commentating here over many years, I'm sure.
Yes.
Could be some real good anecdotes. Yeah, nice top-down view there as we watch Jason chasing Dani's thunder.
Okay, have a look back from Dani at Jason. Dani makes a mistake. Oh dear.
Sometimes that little bit of pressure is all you need to do, and he gets past. So Jason Underwood clinches fourth for now.
And Shaun Clarke into the final turn to take race 2 victory. Second place in race 1, race 2 victory. That'll give him first place overall for the weekend. Great race that. Great race by Richard. Unfortunately having, by the looks of things, a small mistake cost him his victory. Peter Geldenhuys, a good recovery after an incident earlier in the race. Getting a knock around and working his way back up to third. After race 1 victory, I believe that will be then second overall. So good race by Peter. Jason Underwood coming up to 4th place with Dani's thunder, still fairly close behind after making a small mistake.
Jason gets fourth. Unfortunate for Dani, but I'm sure he enjoyed that little battle that they had there.
Yeah.
Rian van der Wester isn't across the line next. In 6th position.
And then Javi goes to take up the rear. What's the guy
Unfortunate that Javi's finishes so far behind, because he was showing some real promise there at points. Let's not curse him through Ingwe as he crosses the line. Last lap, he just about had enough fuel.
Alright, he's
Hopefully
in a
this
straight
time
line.
he's
We
got
can talk
enough.
about him.
He's just got enough fuel this time, and he does it.
And Peter Murray, of course, gets 8th place overall. We're going
Good
to...
race for everybody, considered they're all in the points now.
Yes. Alright, we're going to jump to an ad break. We'll be back shortly with the top 3 drivers. welcome back, everyone. We are joined for the end of our round 3, coming, or was coming to you live, or had come from Kyalami in the Midrand in Gauteng. We are joined by our top 3 drivers for the event, as well as Jason Underwood, who came across in 4th place overall. So a good race for Jason as his first attempt. So we have Shaun Clarke taking 1st overall. We have Peter Geldenhuys in 2nd. We have Richard Cilia in 3rd. So quite an exciting couple of battles. It's not a big field, but 1 or 2 good close battles. Perhaps we could start with let's start with Shaun. We start at the top. Shaun, give us your feedback on the event.
It was a nice event. I thought the car on the track would be a much better combination. But it was lekker. Close racing. Just sorry to Uncle Peter there. That happened in the first corner. But yeah, other than that, it was lekker race, and it was close racing.
Yeah, there was some good racing between you guys there, and not too sure where Peter is. He hasn't made it for the interviews, but maybe he'll pop in a moment, and if he does, then we can bring him in. But otherwise,
What happened to you in the last lap of the first race there, Shaun?
My rear wheels locked up. I went from supposed to go to second, I went to first, locked up, and I spent. Yeah, I could have went right across to block Uncle Peter, but yeah, that's not nice sportsmanship.
Yeah.
So I let him pass. Yeah, he deserved that win.
And
Yeah,
was
actually,
it because your tires were they getting a bit worn toward the end, or what is that part of the reason? Or?
no, I think it's just I went from second to first. I should have stayed in first. I don't know what I did. But yeah, actually, Uncle Peter deserved the win of the second race as well.
Yeah, he kept you honest there all the way to the end.
Yeah, no, it was a great battle. Even Richard as well. He did good tonight. But well done, Peter, Uncle Peter and Richard. Well done. Jason, you as well, buddy. You did good for your first race.
Thank you.
yeah,
But
well
you
done,
guys
guys.
you guys are completely out of my league. Well,
Not bad for your first attempt, though, Jason. We'll get you in a moment. So let's chat to Richard, since Richard is here and he was in 3rd. Unfortunately, Peter's not here to chat. He was in 2nd. So, Richard, a good race. You showed a good, strong showing in the second race there. We didn't see what happened. We were watching you. You were in the lead. Then we were watching a battle with Donnie and Jason, which was quite exciting to watch as well. And then suddenly you were in 2nd place. What actually happened?
Shaun is very fast, and I was just trying to get away from him or keep my distance from him, but he surely but slowly got closer and closer and closer. And as soon as at one corner there, I saw him in the mirror, and he was really close. And then I just got a little bit early on the throttle, and the back end went a little bit. So I had to let off everything, and I had to correct it. And yeah, that's when Shaun got by.
Yeah, that's a shame, because you were looking really strong and likely to take a victory there, and then just suddenly all gone. But at least you managed to pull through a decent podium, so that was good. And you got 3rd overall still, so solid points at least.
Yes, yeah, it was nice, and it's different from what we do in R Factor 2. So tire wear not that bad, but you can feel it. But yeah, it was nice, and thanks to Shaun, great racing, Uncle Peter as well. Thanks, guys, it was nice.
Julian, do you have any questions?
What do you guys think of the force feedback difference here in Assetto Corsa and doing 2 20-minute races like this? I'm very interested to know what Jason thinks, because in my opinion, it's quite heavy here, and it's quite an assault on. It's like you sweating after driving 20 minutes in this Radical.
yeah. Well, I had to turn my force feedback multiplier down.
We were wondering if you did something
by
like that. I never actually do. I never remember to do that. But that's an interesting way of getting around the fact that this one is so much heavier and so much.
yeah. Because obviously I was in a bit of a rush. I didn't assign any buttons or anything like that. So I went on track, and my steering wheel was as heavy as a 10-ton truck. So I just put my force feedback multiplier down to 50%, and that seemed to have sorted it out. But yeah, it's compared to what I normally race in R Factor, it's a lot different. but it's also quite enjoyable actually. I quite enjoyed those little radicals around Kyalami. Nowhere near as quick as the top guys. I try to keep up with Richard in the beginning, but that wasn't going to happen. And then towards the end with Darnie, I was catching, but little mistakes here and there. Just wasn't enough in the end. And then unfortunately he made a mistake. And yeah, then I got the 4th place. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Good bunch of guys, especially on the Discord. Having a laugh while we're racing, so that was also quite enjoyable.
Nice.
Good to hear. All right, then I guess we can go to shout-outs since everyone has had their say. And I think unless you've got any questions, Julian, we can do shout-outs. Do you have any more questions?
No, not particularly.
All
Not
right, then let's
particularly.
go to Shaun. Shaun, you're also leading the championship at the moment, so congratulations on that. We don't really cover the championship points. I'll try to do that from the next round. I think it has now neutralized after dropped rounds and things, but you're still on top. You currently have, by the looks of things, a 7-point lead over Adrian Nel, and Peter Geldenhuys in third on 40 points. So nice solid lead. Any closing thoughts?
No, nothing. Just want to say thanks to you again for hosting this nice event, Dennis. We really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. And then, Richard, anything from your point of view? You're currently now up to 5th place in the championship. You're 2 points behind Yondre Dippenaar. So Yondre is still there in 4th place. Pity he wasn't with us tonight. He would have had a few extra points and he might have been further up in the championship. But you're now right up behind him, and you had quite a good round this round. Hopefully your next round will be just as strong. So any closing thoughts?
Oh, yes, just thanks to PZN, the team, everybody that joined tonight. Shaun and Uncle Peter, thanks for the racing. It was nice. And then 2 special requests I've got. One is for Peter Marais. He helped me in the last minutes before we started to sort out my steering wheel because I had no force feedback. I could have driven into a wall and my steering just sat there. So thanks to Peter, he really helped. We found out all my wife's credit and mine. And then, yeah, thanks to Rian van der Westhuizen. He for the making of the skins. Next time, please, just a little bit more gloss for a little bit more speed, Rian. Yes, that's it from my side.
Great stuff. And then Jason, any final thoughts from yourself? First experience, quite a lot to take in, I'm sure, with the wheel settings and new sim settings that you have to get used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's once off. I'm never at home during the week anyway, so I thought I'd give it a go. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Well done to the top 3. You guys are super quick. And if I do come back, I'll need to have done a lot more practice and a lot more studying. But yeah, well done to everybody. Dennis, always good. Julian, nice fresh voice on the commentary. And
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
I hope to see some more guys in the league for future races.
Yeah, hopefully Eskom allows us to have a few more guys in. Unfortunately, many guys have been affected by it. But also just for you guys to be aware, so going into the next round, we have Road America. So Jason, I'm sure you're very familiar with Road America. From R Factor 2, it's the exact same track. It's been converted from year 4 R Factor 2. It's the Lulski version of Road America, which is fantastic. So if you do jump in, at least you'll be familiar with the track. It's a very nice, fast-flowing track, and these cars with their lower top end, it's going to be quite an exciting race, I think. Lots of slipstreaming there. So if you want to jump in and join that, that'll probably be an easier track to learn than what Kyalami was. I think Kyalami is a bit more technical. And then after that, we have Imola, then Barcelona, the MotoGP circuit, then Mugello, and then finally the final round back to South Africa to Zwartkops. So that'll be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the race. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and head over to www.alwin.co.za if you have any automotive class requirements. And until Sunday's race for the BMW Cup, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will catch you on Sunday.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you. Cheers.